We've been here for 25 years.
Is it happening?
I think.
Is it?
I think it's happened. One eye is definitely open here.
Okay.
One eye is definitely open. I get it. There's a lot of football left.
Yeah.
And like you, I have friends on the Twitters who are UNC fans.
Mm-hmm.
They have scars in football.
Yeah. I'll get to that in a second.
They have scars in football. So it's kind of like, wait, is this really happening? No, it really is. They're 6-0. They look really good.
Yeah.
They're playing at a level that even when they don't play great, which was the first half of the game against Miami on Saturday, they're finding ways. Good teams play better at the beginning of games and in the third quarter. That's when coaching comes into play. Carolina this year has been outstanding in the third quarter. And again, they were on Saturday night. It really made a difference in that game. And I'm here to tell you, 12-0 is in play for them.
Oh, absolutely in play.
And I said it early, and it was kind of like, well, if they get past Pitt, because remember, Pitt super power, which you called.
Which, no. Pitt super weapon is a credit to Holly Anderson and
it happened this week. You called it this week.
And I did call it this week. The Pitt, I want to give full credit for the idea of the Pitt super weapon. And the Pitt super weapon activated at the most inopportune time for Louisville because we're all talking about their schedule. Oh my goodness, look at their schedule.
It's the easiest thing ever.
It's the easiest thing ever. And then Pat Narduzzi put all those negative thoughts in the vase.
He did. Got rid of them all.
And they all were, I don't know, burned something. I hope somebody asked Pat Narduzzi, so what did you do with said negative comments? Was there a ceremony? Anyway, they knocked off Louisville. We're familiar with such things. We are. Yeah,
so
they
beat Pitt. They beat Miami. These were the two games that I looked at and said, "This. If you're a sleepy Carolina team, not focused, not locked in, not understanding the task in front of you, those are the kind of games you lose."
Yeah.
And they go to Pitt. They take care of business. They get Miami here, an ornery Miami who came out the way that I thought they would have the first half of this football game.
Same.
And listen, turnover luck is real. Carolina's causing turnovers and capitalizing on them in the third quarter in particular. And Tez Walker, there was a whole lot of legal fighting. There was a whole lot of bad mouthing between UNC and the NCAA and Georgia's president and whoever else. And boy, what would happen if Carolina and Georgia ended up playing in the first round of the college football playoff? Would they make that guy come out?
But let's hold on a second.
I would.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here because Carolina still actually has to go out and do it, and this is where the scars come in. And I brought up the yellow pad that you had tweeted out over the weekend about waking the giant and UNC when they've been ranked in the preseason and how they have not lived up to those preseason expectations and oftentimes find themselves not ranked at the end of the year.
It's wild.
It's not that you're preseason ranked and there's some expectations and you finished, with fringy top 25 team. No, not ranked. Last year included as a preseason top 10, or 2021, I should say, when they were preseason top 10. They finished not ranked. And then you go back to the comparison
since their last ACC title in 80, right?
So but I think the true comparison, the true 1-for-1 is actually the last time Mack Brown was the head coach at North Carolina. And it was in 1997 when they got out to a similar start.
6-0. Last time they were 6-0 was 97.
And for a triangle school to do what North Carolina is doing right now is like a Haley's Comet type situation. It comes around every so often, maybe once a decade. Haley's Comet's a hell of a lot longer than that, but you get my point. The point, I still have a Haley's Comet shirt somewhere in my parents' closet, because it was like a big deal when Haley's Comet came through in the 80s. Regardless, it's a big deal when a North Carolina triangle school gets to this point. But we all know, whether you're a Carolina fan, a State fan, or even a Duke fan, that the bill eventually comes due against a superior ACC squad. However,
or even Atlanta for Georgia Tech for Carolina. I mean, that's a terrifying game for them. I'm just saying to you, at 6-0, you can't get to 12-0 without being 6-0.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So the way that it's falling in front of them, they are absolutely capable of a stumble. I get it. Just last year, they lost to a bad Georgia Tech team.
Yes.
Because Josh Downs, who never drops passes, dropped a pass.
Like, are they going to lose to Virginia this weekend?
No. Oh, this is a name your score game this weekend.
The things get tricky for North Carolina at the back end, and this is the blessing and the curse. Remember, Mack Brown spent a good chunk of this offseason complaining about the schedule. Funny, ironic thing, though, is that if North Carolina actually is going to have a legit look at the college football playoff, those last 3 games and the ACC championship game sets you up to put yourself in the conversation for real. You and I were talking about this before we went live to tape. North Carolina's schedule does not have anything that makes you go, right? In terms of their
Sure.
wins. Minnesota's fine. South Carolina's going through it. I get it, but it's an SEC opponent, so that'll always give you a little bit of
they're
a
not going to
bump.
be dinged for that.
They're not going to get dinged for that. App State's going through another. I feel like, by the way, quick tangent. I feel like this week we should set aside Mountaineer therapy and Pirate therapy,
We could do that.
because goodness gracious, our football friends to the east and to the west are going through it right now. Understandably so. I'm not dismissing it. I understand why fans are lamenting right now, because they've been set up for some modicum of success and they keep getting beat back down. Regardless, tangent over. Point is, the Duke game is not going to be easy. They could have Riley Leonard by that time.
Absolutely.
I could absolutely see North Carolina losing to this Duke squad. And it's not like an indictment on Duke or North Carolina. That's just a really good freaking Duke squad, which we'll get to in a second in regards to their win over NC State. The NC State game, man, look, you talk about the scars. I've gotten to know a dad from the travel hockey circuit who's a UNC fan, and he's like a legit UNC football fan too. And he came up to me yesterday in Wake Forest in the middle of Jacob's game, and he goes, "You know they're losing to State, right?" And I looked at him like, "Would you stop it? Not this State squad. No, like absolutely freaking not. Stop it." Now Duke, okay, fine. He's like, "Well, no, yeah, Duke's really good, but man, you know, I've seen this too many times." I'm like, "Yeah, not this State team." And then obviously you got the Clemson game in there.
Yeah.
So you've got
down there.
So you've got
I'm
the
not
Duke
saying
game.
it's a cakewalk.
It's not a cakewalk
at all.
I agree
I'm
with
just
you.
saying they have the
It's there.
ability.
The path is there.
They have the skill.
Yes.
This thing is there for them.
It is. So you've got the Duke game, you've got the Clemson game, you close the year out with State, and then you're probably looking at Florida State in the ACC championship game. You do that, you're in the college football playoff. Like there's no discussion whatsoever. You can save me the Pac-12 crap. You can save the ACC, because the Pac-12 has been good this year.
Pac-12 is going to cannibalize each other. That's the problem.
This is true, although Washington might be able to pull this off. But
I don't think they will.
Okay, we'll see.
I think they're really good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, so anyway, North Carolina, it's all there for North Carolina. And the reason why I think North Carolina can do it, and why I've come around on them after being very nitpicky at the beginning of the season, is that I will double down with what I said, and it pissed off Florida State fans. That is a complete football team. It might be the most complete football team in the ACC. And you know what ultimately takes them over the top? Drake freaking May. Now, is
it Drake May or is it Hampton?
Dude.
Because the two times we've seen Hampton run hot this year, those are the two times I've been most impressed.
You need Omarion Hampton.
Right.
This is why I say complete.
Yeah.
How are you going to stop North Carolina's offense? Because Drake May had arguably his worst game of the year.
You're going to blitz the shit out of them. That's what State does. That's how they give them problems. That's what Duke's going to do too.
Drake May arguably had his worst game of the year. Miami did a hell of a job getting to him. And yet it was Miami's worst defensive showing of the season. Think about that.
Yeah.
Because of Omarion Hampton and also Tez Walker. And this is
like, hey, over here, pay attention to me. And if you don't, here comes a 55-yard touchdown in your ear.
Which is why I was really mad at North Carolina fans on my timeline. And you know who you are, because you're in my mentions sometimes too. But it was like, why are they getting away from Hampton? He's like 200 yards rushing. Why are they getting away from him? Because you have Drake freaking May. And Drake May, for some of his errant throws, a little off timing. Again, that's credit to Miami for getting a lot of pressure on Drake May. He's still going to break off a beautiful pass. And he did that 3 freaking times with Tez Walker.
Which the 3rd and 20 to Walker is what put the game away. That was a great throw.
And one nitpick, though.
With the heels?
With the heels. Penalties continue to be a problem.
Yes. First half in particular.
14 penalties for 147 yards. There was a sequence at the end of the first half that if Miami was better coached, if Miami actually knew what the hell they were doing, and you know how I feel about Mario Cristobal, you can put a guy in a new Miami polo. It's the same shit every freaking time. And again, North Carolina, a lot of credit for not having the end of the half be a disastrous turnaround momentum changer going in the half, because
that's actually the best sign for Carolina. The penalties, the mistakes that they did make, and they still overcame them in such a way that they took control of that game in the third quarter. That the final score is not indicative of the way that they controlled the football game after the half.
Yeah, totally with you on that. One other note about Drake May and Tez Walker and how important Tez Walker is, and you'd put this yellow pad stat out there with where the offense has gone with Tez in the lineup and where it was before Tez was in the lineup. And we can sit here and make the very cynical jokes about, well, no wonder North Carolina was fighting tooth and nail to get Tez Walker out there.
I don't know if it's a joke, if it's more of a reality.
It's a reality, but I think, and this is what I had said when they brought when Tez Walker finally was eligible to play. It's not that I think Tez Walker is going to become this Josh Downs safety blanket. It's just the addition of another weapon. North Carolina's offense had already started to go in the right direction. Like Nate McCullum in that development was really positive for North Carolina.
Again, when you have a pro quarterback, the world is your oyster.